Hello, trading is closed on June 22nd, 2021. We always begin with our disclaimers. Let us do that. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, June 23rd, 2021. I can be completely wrong, and all trades should be at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early low. This is it. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high. We had a number of calls for today. They didn't work. Let's go over them. I'm first going to point out that I came up with the MEJT system rules 19 years ago, June through August of 2002. When I first came up with them for the first month, there were no failures, which turned out to be pretty fortuitous because if the first time I tried them were a day like today, I probably wouldn't have pursued it. Some of this other stuff, like the hole in the wall gap, that came later, but this is one of those days where the market had a mind of its own. We did say that there were some positive signs. VIX gave a buy signal, NASDAQ McClellan oscillator gave a buy signal. But usually when you get mixed signals, commonest thing is a gap and prompt move outside the day's range. That didn't happen. Next most common is closing little change, and that didn't happen. So we got the least common thing. We had a major top possibly in place. I've added some question marks because while it hasn't been killed, it has to be considered on life support. Don't forget, the end of this week I have personal business. I might not have any videos, and even if I do, I won't have much time to do my analysis. Usually when you get a opening which isn't a gap and you have a lower MEJT target or a MEJT target, that's going to print. It's not a complete lock, but it's pretty close. That didn't happen. Hole in the wall gap, these things don't have to fill promptly, but usually they do, and that didn't happen either. During the day, we did get a buy signal in the morning. It certainly worked, but it's kind of a weak signal if you ask me. We got an ultimate sell signal later on. Gives us a target of 42.3758. Ultimately, it should print. Normally, you don't have to wait long, but there's no time limit and nothing requires it to print tomorrow. We had this great confluence of time and price last week. Someone had told you on Friday after the close we'd be within a few points of the all-time high. I think nobody would have believed you. We never did undercut these lows for confirmation. But that was pretty weak action, and it's on the verge of being invalidated and getting rid of this beautiful pattern that I had, particularly when the last few days of June tend to be one of the market's weakest periods. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high. We could get down. Typically, it's a rally day with a high in the final hour. Failure is a straight line drop. There's an ultimate target at a lower price, but it's not required to print tomorrow. NASDAQ McClellan oscillator volatility index is still on buy signals, and breadth is still poor. It just hasn't improved on this rally. The all-time high is close to falling. If so, it would undermine the confluence of time and price, which I thought marked a high last week. We did never get a print under the prior low for confirmation. If that idea is going to work, we pretty much have to drop right from the open. Since we have 5 waves up, it isn't impossible, but it's pretty tough to recommend a short position without more evidence than I have now. So if that beautiful pattern we had last week is going to work, this has to be it. It has to be 5 waves up and a drop right from the open. And whether or not that'll happen, I don't really know. If it happens, everything is still fine. If not, the idea is killed. Tomorrow's pattern is usually a very bullish day. But if it's not, it's a straight line drop. And my suspicion is it'll be pretty clear before too long which of those two scenarios plays out. And that's today's call.